Good afternoon, Facebook and YouTube. JDev has returned once again to give you exactly what you want. Of course, that would be more of me, my awesome backdrop, giving you my thoughts, my opinions, and hopefully in this video, some expert analysis on a certain topic subject. So this video was requested by Joe Haley, and Joe wanted to know who my top 10 favorite Chicago Cubs of all time were. You know, considering I'm a Chicago Cubs fan, he wanted to know my top 10. Well, Joe, I've actually done a list of this on paper going up as high as 50. So I can do you one better. I won't go 50, but I'll give you my top 20 favorite Chicago Cubs of all time. In my opinion, of course. Now, I have to let you guys all know, all you big-time Cub fans out there, I'm not going to include guys like Ron Santo, Ernie Banks, Billy Williams, Ferguson Jenkins, and those guys because I never watched them actually play. I've seen highlights, but I can't have them guys on my list because I didn't see them play. Obviously, I really loved Ron Santo as a broadcaster. His emotion was great, but I didn't see him really play on the field except on video. So I can't include them on the list, but I will include the guys that I have seen play. Just a couple honorable mentions that didn't quite make the list. Cole Hamels, he has a good year this year. He's certainly going to go up higher on this list. Well, he's not on the list, but he'll be on the list next time I do it. Sean Dunston, Nomar Garciaparra, Jorge Soler, when he was with the Cubs, he hit some bombs. Ryan Dempster, and Alfonso Soriano. Hey, his contract was a lot better than what Jason Hayward is doing right now. So Soriano, he was pretty good for like 4 years. Then he started to tail it off a little bit. But here you guys go. My top 20 favorite Cubs of all time. Number 20, he was only with the Cubs half a season, but he just did a lot of good things. Kenny Lofton. Number 19, one of my favorite closers in Cubs history, not my favorite, Randy Myers. Number 18, one of my favorite baseball players of all time, and then he ended up playing with the Chicago Cubs, and that would be Fred McGriff, the Crime Dog. Should be a Hall of Famer, by the way. Number 17, he was kind of a mediocre player before the Cubs acquired him, and then when he got to the Cubs, he just put up these astronomical numbers, and that would be Derek Lee. Number 16, a guy who was a great personal catcher, a guy who was a great clubhouse guy, and a great leader, and hopefully someday a manager of the Cubs or a bench coach of the Cubs, or both, David Ross. Number 15, a guy who signed a really cheap deal to play for the Chicago Cubs after leaving the Montreal Expos. And in 1987, he was the National League MVP, and we're talking about the Hawk, Andre Dawson. Number 14, a guy who almost won the National League Most Valuable Player last year had he not had a slow month of September. A guy who could play third, short, second base. Probably could put him in the outfield, and he probably could catch too if you needed him to. Javi Baez. Number 13, a guy who the Cubs also acquired in 2003 at the trading deadline. And he came to the Cubs and just put up these amazing numbers. And I think he was one of the Cubs MVPs for a few years. And he played with the Cubs for like 5-6 years. That would be Aramis Ramirez. Number 12, a big game pitcher who's pitched some big games for the Chicago Cubs, including the 2016 NL pennant clinching game in Wrigley Field. He was almost unhittable in that game. Kyle Hendricks, who just re-signed for a few more years, 4 more years with the Cubs. Number 11, a guy who was supposed to miss all of the 2016 season, except for the first game of the year that he played. But he came back in the World Series and arguably, in my opinion, was the World Series MVP, even though he only really played in the games in Cleveland. Great teammate, great guy who's trying to improve his game any which way he can. Kyle Schwarber. Number 10, some of you don't like this guy. Some of you do. I'm indifferent. I like him and I hate him. But when he was with the Cubs, he did a lot of spectacular things, including, of course, that magical season of 1998. And in 3 straight years, he actually hit 60 home runs. There are some steroid allegations behind this guy, but what he did on the field was amazing. Sammy Sosa. Number 9, a guy who I wasn't really thrilled when they signed him because I wanted them to sign David Price the season afterwards. A guy who I was mad when they gave the number 34 to because I thought it should be retired as Kerry Wood's number. But since he's been with the Cubs, he's been pretty amazing. Jon Lester. Number 8, another guy who only played a half a season with the Cubs, but when he came out in the 9th inning, it was a spectacle. It was amazing. It was must-see TV. He did blow the save in the World Series, but he did pitch a perfect 9th inning to get them to the 10th inning. Aroldis Chapman. Number 7, a pitcher who we got for next to nothing, had a brilliant career with the Cubs. Did a lot of good things, had 2 no-hitters, was a Cy Young Award winner, and one of the best pitchers in baseball during that time period. Unfortunately, he did sign with another team, the Philadelphia Phillies, but I'm talking about Jake Arrieta. Number 6 is a surprise on this list. I bet none of you that are Cubs fans will have him on your top 50 list, but I like him. I thought he did a lot of good things. He hit a home run on top of the roof, and that would be Glenn Allen Hill. Number 5, a guy who pitched for the Cubs a couple times. He was a Cy Young Award winner. He's World Series champion, not with the Cubs, unfortunately, but one of the best pitchers in baseball. Nothing too flashy, but would hit the corners. Greg Maddux. Number 4, one of the greatest Cubs of all time. Excellent first baseman, good defender, good baseball instincts, likes to choke up on the bat with 2 strikes. Great teammate, great off the field, future Hall of Famer, Anthony Rizzo. Number 3, the guy that fielded the last out of the 2016 World Series, the 2016 MVP, the 2015 Rookie of the Year, a guy who's going to have a great bounce back season this year, Kris Bryant. Number 2 is arguably one of the greatest second basemen of all time. Great defender, great with the bat, good ambassador for the Cubs right now, Ryne Sandberg. And my favorite Cub of all time, had 20 strikeouts in the game in 1998, Rookie of the Year. Wish he would have had a longer career with the Cubs. I wish he would have been on the field when the Cubs won the World Series in 2016. Came back to the Cubs in 2011, I think it was, or was it late 2010, after being with the New York Yankees. Kerry Wood. So there's my interesting list. I'm sure a couple of you have questions. It's how I see it. Let's recap it real quick. 20, Kenny Lofton. 19, Randy Myers. 18, Fred McGriff. 17, Derek Lee. 16, David Ross. 15, Andre Dawson. 14, Javi Baez. 13, Aramis Ramirez. 12, Kyle Hendricks. 11, Kyle Schwarber. 10, Sammy Sosa. 9, Jon Lester. 8, Aroldis Chapman. 7, Jake Arrieta. 6, Glenn Allen Hill. 5, Greg Maddux. 4, Anthony Rizzo. 3, Kris Bryant. 2, Ryne Sandberg. And number 1, Kerry Wood. Obviously, this list can change. Cole Hamels could have a good year, and he might get added to the list. Lots of different players could make this list, but I'm going to go 20. And maybe I'll expand the list next time to include top 25. But I hope you enjoyed this list. What I want you to do if you're on YouTube, I want you to thumb up the video and leave a comment. And subscribe if you haven't already, because that helps me out. Leave a comment of your top 10 or 20 favorite players on your favorite team of all time. And if you're on Facebook, I want you to do the same thing, a little bit varied. I want you to like the video. I want you to leave a comment and tell me how awesome I am and include your top 10 or 20 favorite players of all time on your favorite team. And if you want to tell me I'm an idiot for some of my choices, you're more than welcome to do that. And I hope you've enjoyed the video. And of course, I'll be back again soon with another. Peace.